love the idea of investing in Airbnbs, but you've been hesitant to start because you're afraid it might take up too much of your time?
In this video, we're going to show you exactly what you need to do so you can manage your property with just 15 minutes or less each day. We are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in short-term rentals, and we're here to show you how you can do the same. So today's video hits on a topic that prevents, honestly, a lot of people from getting started as an Airbnb host. There's so much fear that buying an Airbnb means you're basically buying yourself a job.
Now, it's totally true that Airbnbs are way more work than your traditional long-term rentals, but when you set them up the right way, you can actually manage your property with a pretty small time investment day to day.
Now, and luckily for you, we're going to give you the exact framework you need to follow. We call it the 5 phases for 15-minute management. We totally just made that up for this video, but sounds good, so we figure we roll with it, and we will break down each of those 5 phases.
Now, before we dive in, 2 quick things. First, today's video is brought to you by Relay Financial. Relay is our business bank of choice, and we literally love them for so many reasons. We'll put in a link in the description that gives you a little bonus if you sign up using that link. And second, I just want to say that our goal here is 15 minutes per day on average. Some other days it could be literally 0, and other days it could be an hour if things really hit the fan. But on average, you should be okay with spending about 15 minutes a day if you follow these 5 steps.
All right, guys, so let's dive in. But before we do, we wanted to share with you all that we've officially launched our Airbnb coaching program. It's called Alpha Host Academy, and we're still in our beta test mode.
We're so excited.
Yeah, we're super pumped for it. It's a lifetime membership for those who join during the beta launch. Plus, you'll get a mix of one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and on-demand content. And our goal is to help you escape the rat race and replace your day job within 5 years or less.
And a super cool community.
It's a really cool community, and we're super excited about it. So if you're interested in learning more, head over to therealestaterobinsons.com/book a call.
And if you're not yet an Airbnb host, sign up using our link in the description and you'll get a cash bonus for signing up, and we'll get a small cash bonus as well for referring you.
All right, so let's dive into the first phase, which is expectations. A big part of being a successful Airbnb host comes down to your ability to manage your guests' expectations.
Totally.
If you can set the right expectations for your guests and then deliver on those expectations, then your guests will be happy and hopefully not need much from you at all really during their stay.
But if your guests walk into your property with unrealistic expectations about things like how to communicate with you as the host, or what kind of amenities come with your property, or what kind of service they should expect, then they'll be kind of upset, and rightfully so, right?
So let's break down a few of the ways you can set the right expectations for your guests. First is your host communication. This means that you need to be super incredibly clear with your guests about how they should contact you, what times you're generally available, and why.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of things should they be contacting you for? Like, if the house is on fire, they shouldn't be calling you first, they should be calling the fire department.
Okay.
Things like that.
Good example. So for example, in our messages to our guests, we let them know that we're generally available from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and that they should expect a delayed response from us if they're sending us messages outside of that time frame.
The second way to set the right expectations is to make sure you have an accurate listing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a massive one. We've talked about this on the channel before, but nothing will piss a guest off faster than you catfishing them with your listing.
Trust us, we did it on accident.
We've done it before. Your photos should really accurately represent what your property looks like today.
And if you have an amenity listed on your property, you better make sure that it's physically at your property. So basically, whatever expectations you set for your property within the listing, you need to be able to deliver on those expectations when the guest actually checks in.
We took a listing live a few months ago and we accidentally checked the box for hot tub.
Yeah.
The hot tub was there, it had been delivered, but our electrician hadn't actually connected to the electrical panel yet, so it wasn't usable.
Yeah,
like big oversight on our end. We were just kind of going through the motions. We have hot tub.
Excited to go live.
no.
Yeah, and you know, the hot tub wasn't even in any of the listing photos. So we went live, it was in no photos, but it was checked as an amenity. So when that guest arrived, they booked the property, they were pissed. And again, understandably so.
And obviously a hot tub is a big amenity, right? But even less expensive amenities really, really matter. So if your listing says you have a pack and play, for example, then you better make sure that pack and play is there, it's safe, and totally usable for those guests. The third and final way to set the right expectations is to communicate your policies. Luckily, Airbnb helps communicate your cancellation policy, but it's up to you as the host to really clarify things like your checkout time and your check-in time.
Let your guests know your policy on things like when quiet hours start and whether or not smoking is allowed. Honestly, it's even good to communicate things like whether or not you have security cameras on your property.
The more, the better. When you take the time to set these expectations for your guests, it makes it easier for you as the host, and it makes it easier for your guests as well.
So that's phase 1 of the 5 phases for 15-minute management, setting clear expectations. So let's move on to phase 2. And phase 2 is all about the property. And when we say property, we're talking about the actual physical space that your guests will be using when they book your listing.
The first piece of getting your property right is to focus on cleanliness. If your guest comes into your property and things are dirty, trust me, they're going to let you know right away.
So it's on you and your cleaning team to make sure your Airbnb is spotless before a guest checks in. We have our cleaners submit photos of the property every time they clean it. That way, first, we have proof that the property was clean to our standard, and second, sometimes you get a guest who likes to make fake complaints about the Airbnb being dirty as a way to get a free or heavily discounted stay, and having those photos as evidence helps if you ever get into a dispute with the guest in Airbnb. And honestly, we take it one step further where the software that we use to capture those photos, our cleaners can't even upload a photo from their photo roll. It has to be a photo that they actually take through the app. So that's more proof on our end that those photos are current and accurate. So just a hot hosting tip for you guys if you're trying to do the same thing.
Next, you want to make sure that all of your utilities and appliances are working properly. That means that making sure your hot water, your gas, electric, and that your AC and heater are working correctly. But it also even means like little things like your coffee maker, your smart TVs, and whatever other amenities you might have at your property, and confirm that they're all working properly.
Yeah, and we learned this the hard way because we've had guests check
Time
in.
and time again.
Yeah,
It's like we haven't learned our lesson.
The hot water was a big one for a few of our properties. You're like, I don't remember why that kept happening. I think it was an issue with the water heater, but anyway, now we have a launch checklist that we run through to help make sure that we're not missing anything when the property goes live. And we've actually just hired today, finalized that we're hiring a new team member to focus on this pre-launch checklist as their one of their sole responsibilities. So super important.
Last, and this is more of a hosting trick, but whenever possible, you leave extras. Again, we learned this the hard way, but leave extra trash bags, dish soap, sponges, leave extra blankets, sheets, and pillows. Like those kind of things will save you so much time. And I think it took us a really long time to realize that and make a change.
We even just bought extra coffee machines for our listings. That way, if a coffee machine breaks, which honestly happens more often than
Dude, it's so weird.
It's so weird.
people break the coffee machines, but instead of going out and without coffee for their entire stay, we can just swap out that broken machine with a new one. I actually broke the coffee machine at our house twice. We got like a new Keurig. You remember that?
I don't get how you're doing that or how the guests are doing that.
Yeah, like for me, I think it's like we have like a Keurig, and if that water reservoir thing isn't clicked in all the way and you try and run it, it just fries it. And I think I did that twice, but who knows what the guests are doing. And we're certain that it's user error.
For sure.
But anyway.
But it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So if you have another one on deck, it'll save you some time. We even had a friend that bought an extra television and he kept it in his owner's closet. Shout out to Alex. And one day he told us that one of the TVs in his bedroom stopped working. I guess messaged him and said that. And he saved the day by literally just swapping out that new TV with the old one immediately. So that was such a easy win-win, not only for him as the host, but for the guest, because the guest gets amazing service and the problem is solved quickly. And he as the host was able to solve the problem in less than 5 minutes with just one text to his handyman that said something like, hey, can you stop by the property and swap out the TV? So pretty cool.
The next way to make sure your property helps reduce the amount of time you need to spend managing it is by buying durable items. If you have items in your house that are always breaking and needing to be replaced, then that means more communication between you and your guest and more time spent shopping for replacements and facilitating the replacements to happen. So buy durable stuff.
I just want to add, we have had to learn this the hard way as well. When we first started, we were kind of stingy with our bed frames. So highly recommend getting really durable and investing in real quality, sturdy bed frames. For one of our properties, we decided to buy this super expensive, super beautiful couch. The only problem was that the couch was 100% all white.
That was literally my fault. I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot.
But the couch didn't last long at all. And by the time the second guest checked out of the property, the couch was ruined. Literally the second guest.
Yeah, we had to open up a claim with air cover and fight with the guests to get reimbursed. We invested, not we, Sarah did, invested a bunch of time to submit all these invoices and get quotes and provide all kinds of proof to Airbnb that the damage was the guest's fault. And ultimately, Airbnb sent us how much? Do you remember the dollar amount?
I don't remember the dollar amount.
No.
But it wasn't enough to recover, like to replace the couch. It was
No,
just enough to
definitely
cover
not.
like a deep clean, when in reality, we had to replace the entire couch. So we bought the couch, had it for 2 guests, and then pretty much had to replace it completely.
Yeah, also I'm an idiot for the white couch, but besides the point. Obviously, buying a white couch in an Airbnb is a bad idea, but here are a few reasons why you should focus on durable, long-lasting furniture.
So first, Airbnbs get a lot of foot traffic. Our properties in JT are booked on average between 12 to 15 times per month.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people going in and out. And that's just like the number of bookings. Like think about how many people each booking has. That much foot traffic means that furniture and decor in the space is likely going to get a little bit more wear and tear over time, and fragile items may not be able to withstand that just like constant use of people, and they're going to need to be replaced pretty frequently.
And people probably just don't even take as good care, you know?
Yeah, like you need something that's
Yeah.
going to withstand all that foot traffic, really.
And just like the situation we faced with our white couch, if a guest damages a fragile item in your rental, there's a good chance that Airbnb won't cover that entire cost to replace the item, which means you'll have to come out of pocket like we did.
So basically it's best to stick with durable and practical furnishings for your Airbnb to minimize the risk of damage and liability and maintenance and all the issues that come along with buying white couches.
Once you check all these boxes, you're done with phase 2.
All right, so before we keep moving, we would really appreciate if you can give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, hit that little bell for notifications. We always say, but every new subscriber does really mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
We had a goal of last year of getting to 50,000 subscribers. We failed that goal by about 16,000 people. Anyway, the goal for this year is to get to 100,000 subscribers. So every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us. So please like, subscribe, share this video with someone that you feel might benefit from it as well. We've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. If you head over to therealestaterobinsons.com/calculator, we've put together a free tool that helps you analyze properties that you're considering purchasing as a short-term rental.
All right, phase 3 of the 5 phases for 15-minute management is automation. And there are 3 big automation tools that every short-term rental host should be using.
And honestly, we got a little 4th bonus after that 3rd one as well.
The first tool is what's known as a channel manager. This is basically property management software built specifically for short-term rentals. So let's talk through how this software helps reduce the amount of time you have to spend managing your property.
Now, first up, they provide a unified inbox. And a unified inbox means that if your property is listed on multiple sites like Airbnb and Vrbo, like all of ours are, instead of and yeah, they all should be, instead of having to jump between both apps to manage your inbox and communicate with guests, you log into one inbox and you can communicate with guests who book through both platforms.
So it's a big time saver and makes communicating with your guests way, way easier. That's probably my favorite feature of this. Second, channel managers can automate most of the communication you'll need to have with your guests. So this is a huge time saver. Every single guest that books one of our properties gets a series of 9 messages from the moment they book until after they check out.
Yeah, we send messages immediately after booking, right before check-in, during their stay, and after the guest checks out. And imagine if we had to send all 9 of those messages manually to each guest. It would eat up so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be reasonable, especially when you're at,
that would be a job.
It would be a job just sending those messages. And some channel managers even have really cool AI features where they can auto-detect the question that is being asked by the guest and then automatically reply with the appropriate response. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff we just did.
Yeah.
For example, we have a setting with our channel manager where if anyone requests an early check-in, a response is automatically sent that lets them know we can't accommodate an early check-in until the day of check-in once we've seen like how the previous guest left the property. So auto responds for us.
Yeah, and using a channel manager to automate messages saves time, it increases efficiency, and honestly just gives your guest a more personalized experience.
And we actually have an older video on the channel where we share what we actually say in our messages to our guests. So we'll share that link in the description as well.
All right, third, your channel manager can automate scheduling with your team, another really massive time saver. So your channel manager can create calendars that your cleaners and your maintenance crews can actually view through an app or sometimes directly into their iPhone.
Yeah.
And that makes it super easy for them to know when the property needs to be cleaned and when it's available for maintenance repairs.
And it sends that information to them automatically with zero interaction from you as the host. When we first started, we would literally send our cleaner a screenshot of the calendar for our property, but that process was totally not sustainable.
Sending screenshots of your Airbnb calendar might seem like a reasonable way of letting your cleaner know when the property needs to be cleaned. It's like, cool, easy screenshot done, but take it from us, doing it that way is super inefficient, all right?
Yeah.
For starters, that screenshot that you sent may not be up to date, right? It's pretty common, especially right now, to get last minute bookings. So if you send your cleaner, say like a screenshot every Monday for the following week, there's probably a really good chance that new reservations are going to come in or existing reservations could get canceled.
So that makes it super tough for the cleaners to know exactly when they need to clean the property. Second, screenshots don't provide automatic notifications or notifications that can be easily seen from multiple devices, meaning you or the cleaner could miss very important information even if you're checking on a regular basis.
Third, and this is one of the biggest ones for me, is that taking screenshots is just like super time consuming, especially if you have more than one property that you're managing.
Yeah.
Remember, the whole purpose of this video is giving you the ability to manage your Airbnb with only 15 minutes, and every single minute counts every single day.
And the fourth big benefit of your channel manager is that it syncs your listings across multiple platforms. So if your property is listed on Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com, instead of having to log into 3 separate websites to manage your listing and communicate with all those guests, you can literally just log into one website and manage all 3 from there.
Yeah, and like the other piece of like syncing all together is that it also syncs your calendars. Your pricing tool can help with this as well, but like your channel manager is typically the way that you sync all of your calendars, so that way if someone books on Airbnb, it automatically gets booked on Vrbo and vice versa. So basically your channel manager does a lot. It saves time, it saves money, and it ultimately saves headache.
The next tool you'll need is a digital guidebook. Your digital guidebook is basically an online instruction manual for your Airbnb. It includes stuff like the address, directions, and check-in instructions.
But it also includes, and this is the really cool part, it's like both written and video instructions on how to use your property. Our guidebooks have details like how many sets of towels do we leave in each bathroom, and videos on how to operate the fire pit and the hydraulic lift cover for the hot tub. We have one property where the GPS doesn't take you to the right location. So we literally have a video of us driving down the road and saying, your GPS stops here, you need to go forward like another 200 feet and hang a left. So those are the kind of directions you can give in your guidebook.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like way thorough. What hotel does that?
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
It's kind of like a guessing game, you know, when you check into a hotel.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Any question that a guest might have about the property, we try to answer it with the guidebook. So ours are super thorough, like Tony said. So I really love that about the guidebooks.
And the guidebook, you know, it honestly saves you time in a few ways. So first, your guidebook saves time on the initial check-in process. So by giving your guests the details about their stay before they check in with this cool little online app, they can quickly figure out what they need to do to avoid all this back and forth with phone calls and messages with you as the host. Like for example, we just stayed at an Airbnb in Houston, actually for our buddy Rob Bill, shout out to Rob. We were at his event in Houston and we stayed in Airbnb, and it was kind of confusing figuring out like how to get the keys, and then once you got the keys, like there were no directions on how to actually get into the building. So we were like wandering around with our luggage in this.
Oh, and they didn't have a guidebook.
There was no guidebook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, if you keep your guidebook up to date, which you all should be doing, then it becomes so much easier for you as the host to respond to the guests' questions, because you can just point them to the section of the guidebook that answers that question, right? So you don't have to find yourself answering these same questions over and over again.
So ideally, if you set your digital guidebook up correctly, it means you'll spend so much less time fielding the same question over and over again from different guests. And I do want to say that we are almost always, not always, but we very frequently add things to our guidebook. So if a guest asks us a question, we're like, oh shoot, we don't have an answer for that, but we have the answer. Let's put it in the guidebook so we never get that, have to not direct them to the guidebook ever again.
All right, so the last tool that'll help you reduce the amount of time you spend managing your Airbnb is called a dynamic pricing tool. Now, a dynamic pricing tool helps Airbnb hosts like us optimize your pricing strategy by automatically adjusting the prices of your listing. And to kind of figure out how those prices should be adjusted, these tools look at a ton of different factors and data points like demand and seasonality and how many listings are available for those dates and just like a bunch of other things. And they look at literally millions of listings across the entire tool. So basically, you get to set the rules for how the tools can adjust your prices, and then every night the tool pushes new prices to your listing.
Dynamic pricing tools help you save time as a host because first, you don't have to try and gather all of the data needed to make smart decisions about your pricing. The tool will literally do it all for you. This allows you to set a competitive price for your Airbnb listing without having to do a bunch of manual research every time. I think this is probably one of your favorite
Yeah, for sure.
things.
Yeah, it's one of the best ways to maximize revenue also. And once you set the tool up correctly, you really have to go in and make small tweaks while the tool kind of does the rest for itself.
So to wrap things up, if you want to really reduce the amount of time you spend managing your Airbnb, you'll need the right tools in software.
All right, so now we want to give you guys the bonus tool here, which is super, it's a tool that we really use and we really love, and that's using the right business bank. But if you go to the link in our description, you guys will get a nice little bonus for signing up for Relay. But we want to talk about like why we like Relay so much and how it's been so integral in kind of reducing the amount of time it takes for us to manage our short-term rentals. So, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, but like your cleaners. We used to pay our cleaners after every single turn using things like Venmo or Zelle or like whatever. And our maintenance crews, same thing. And what we kept running into is we would like run out of we would hit like our payment thresholds on Venmo or Zelle, these different platforms.
Like weekly limits.
Yeah, because you get enough listings, like you're sending a lot of money out every single day, and it just wasn't a sustainable thing. So like we would have to like swap out accounts and do just so many weird things to try and send money. So the fact that
Make it sound illegal.
Yeah, but with Relay, it's super cool because you can add all of your vendors directly into your Relay Business Bank account, and then you can issue same-day ACH payments to all of your vendors. So literally works the same as Zelle, but it's free and it's through your business bank account, so you don't have to worry about limits or anything like that.
That's been a game changer for us.
Massive game changer for us. The second reason why we really love Relay is because you can open up to, I want to say 30 accounts with Relay under one like business name. And that's massive for us because what we do, and again, this is another time-saving thing, is we set up a separate bank account for every single property that we have. And we do that because it makes the bookkeeping incredibly easy. If you have one bank account for all of your Airbnb listings, what Airbnb does is it takes all of the bookings from property A, property B, property C, and it lumps them into one deposit and then drops that into your bank account. When you do it that way, it means on the back end, you don't have to go look at that deposit, open up Airbnb, figure out what amount went to property A, what amount went to property B, what amount went to property C, and it's just more work for you or for your bookkeeper. But when you have a separate account for each property, you automatically know any deposit into that account is for that property. Any deposit into this account is for this property. And it makes the bookkeeping so much easier. I shopped around a lot to try and find banks that would allow us to create enough accounts, and many of them would cap you at like between 1 and 5. But Relay, again, allows you to go up to 30 checking accounts and savings accounts, like a blend of the both, with one business. So that's been a massive game changer for us as well.
Yeah, Tony handled all of that stuff. It was a nightmare for him. He was very moody about it. But once we landed on Relay, you've been pretty pleasant, baby.
Have been pretty pleasant.
So that was bonus tip for you guys. Learn from us. Don't wait to get an awesome bank like Relay. Do it early on in your business.
Yeah. Last thing, you free wires, awesome. You can give read-only access to team members or give them like managed access. So like we have an assistant, we have operations managers that don't need full access to the entire bank account, but they just need access to certain things.
game changer.
So I can go on.
I love how passionate he is about this.
Yeah, I could go on for so many reasons why we love Relay, but if you're looking for a business bank account, make sure you use Relay. Again, hit the link in our description. You guys will get a little bonus. I want to say it's for every account you fund, you get some kind of cash back or something like that, but it'll be in the description, and we hope you guys sign up with them.
All right, moving on to phase 4, which is people. Unless you plan to do all of the work of cleaning and maintaining your Airbnb all by yourself, you're going to need to find the right people on your team.
So usually your team is going to consist of 2 key people. One is your handyman and the other one is your cleaner. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about what those people do. It's pretty self-explanatory. What we want to talk about over the next few minutes is how do you manage those relationships so that you spend the least amount of time possible making those relationships effective.
First thing you should do is get your cleaner and your handyman working together. That means opening up a group chat with your cleaner and your handyman, and anytime there's a maintenance issue that your cleaner identifies, have them put that issue in the group chat so your handyman can see it immediately.
Making that small little change now means you don't have to play middleman between your cleaner and your handyman. They can just talk directly to each other. Your cleaner can explain super clearly what's broken or what needs to be repaired, and your handyman can ask follow-up questions to the person that actually has the answers. That was, again, a mistake that we made early on, was that we didn't have them talking to each other. So the cleaner would say, hey, Tony and Sarah, this thing is broken. Then we would go, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Handyman, this thing needs to be fixed. And they would say, well, what about this thing? Then we'd have to go back to the cleaner. It's like this game of telephone. And so we've really improved our process. Honestly, now we've evolved past the group chat. We have software that we pay for that allows them to communicate with each other. But if you're just starting off, just a simple group chat is a great way to make that happen.
Second, pay your cleaners monthly or bi-weekly, and do not pay them after every turn. Paying them after every turn increases the amount of time you have to spend for this administrative task. And this starts to really become a problem when you're dealing with multiple properties or different cleaners.
Third, make sure you set super clear expectations for your team and especially your cleaner. Make sure they really understand what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and how it needs to be done.
That's right. We hold our cleaners to a pretty high standard. We get photos of the property after every turn and we make them fill out and submit checklists. This helps a ton because it increases accountability and reduces confusion.
And fourth, you should always provide regular feedback to your cleaners about their work. If you're getting a bunch of 4 stars and 3 stars for cleanliness, that's information that cleaners need to know. Because anything less than a 5-star is literally hurting your business. It means less people are willing to book your place, and the people that are booking your place are probably reaching out to you super upset because you're coming in, seeing hair in the shower, stains on the sheets, and dirt on the floor. So dirty listings hurt everybody.
So giving the right feedback is critical. And if you give the cleaner feedback and they don't improve, then that is a sign that you need to find a new cleaner.
Yeah, we've shared on the channel before, but we went through 3 cleaners in Joshua Tree before we found the one that made the most sense for us. So that's phase 4. We're almost done. Let's jump down to phase 5.
So the last phase of the 5 phases for 15-minute management is called improvement. In this phase, you're tracking your data and then using that data to become a better host and make your listing more efficient, both of which should help cut down on the amount of time you spend actually managing the property.
So the goal here is to continually identify issues that pop up at your property and find ways to make sure those same issues never come back again. And the better you get at identifying and solving issues, the less issues that there are that happen, which ultimately means the less time you have to spend on the actual property itself.
So first, let's talk about where your data is coming from. Every single Airbnb host should take some time to regularly review their negative reviews and their negative messages.
And just a quick side note, we do this every single week. Every Tuesday we have a call where we sit down, we look at the metrics for our portfolio, and we always check and kind of go over the reviews and the messages that were negative for our property, and we look for trends and trying to identify what things, if any, we should actually address.
So doing this is super important because it allows you to gain valuable insight into what your guests disliked about their experience. And anytime a guest disliked something, it's probably an issue that caused you to have to communicate with that guest.
So as you read through the messages and the reviews, you'll again eventually start to identify trends in what you're reading. And once you identify those trends, all you have to do is take the time and then try and figure out how to solve that problem for you.
And as you do the process of reviewing the data, identifying the trends, and making improvements, you'll slowly start to increase how efficient your property is and decrease the amount of time it takes for you to actually manage the property.
Yeah, so here's a quick story of how we actually did this in our business. So our very first tiny house in Joshua Tree had an issue with guests being able to find the property at night. Almost every time a guest was checking in at nighttime, we would get a message or a call from the guest that said,
"Hey, Tony, Sarah, we're driving around and we can't find the property.
We're lost.
"We're lost." Yeah. So there were two big issues that were causing this problem. First, the house itself set pretty far back from the street, so if you're driving quickly, you could totally miss it, especially at nighttime. Second, in Joshua Tree, the mailboxes are all lined up on one side of the street. So the mailbox in front of our house actually belonged to the neighbor across the street, and it had the neighbor's house number on it instead of our house.
Super confusing.
Super confusing. And we never actually bought a mailbox for our house, so the only mailbox in front was the mailbox for the neighbor.
We made it even more confusing by not
having the mailbox, right? So what would happen is every night, guests would literally be parked like right in front of the house, but they thought they were in the wrong place because A, they couldn't see the property from the street, and B, because the mailbox had a different house number than the actual house.
So to solve this problem, we recorded a video of ourselves literally driving down the street. Like I think I was driving, recording it or whatever, you know? And we explained that the mailbox belonged to the house across the street and that it was the right location. And then we recorded ourselves literally turning into the driveway. So it was like step by step and showing how the house was even at the back of the driveway, even though it wasn't visible from the road. Then we plopped that video into the digital guidebook and linked it in our check-in instructions.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure there's literally a line in the check-in instructions that says, hey, here's a video of like how to watch the house. We've done that with a few properties, right? Like we had another properties, there were two tiny houses that were right across the street from each other, and the guests would always get confused about like which house to go to. So we had to record videos to say, if you booked XYZ house, do not go there, go here.
Like it was a video of us saying that.
Literally a video of us saying that. But the point is, since we made that change, we've had 0 people ask us for directions at nighttime. And I think we've had 0 people get the two sunny houses confused either.
Another thing I don't think Tony's aware of, we actually installed a mailbox now.
Latham?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So
that might have helped also.
But that was recent.
Yeah, that was recent.
But anyway, it's simple fixes like that that will help reduce the amount of time it takes to manage the property. All right, so that's it, guys. That's the end of the 5th base. Before we go, please do connect with us on Instagram. I'm at Tony J. Robinson. My lovely wife is at Sarah Rad. And if you're on TikTok, you can follow us there at The Real Estate Robinsons. Again, if you liked what you heard in this video and you really want to take your Airbnb business to the next level, book a call with our team to learn more about our Airbnb coaching program called Alpha Host Academy. When you join Alpha Host Academy, you get amazing content, access to a thriving and helpful community, and tons of accountability through group coaching and one-on-one coaching. So if you want to learn more about the program, book a call with our team at therealestaterobinsons.com/book a call.
And as always, if you have any follow-up questions, please drop a comment below and we'll do our best to answer it. That's it for today, guys. I am Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are The Real Estate Robinsons.